Hello, this is Bill Powers with MiningStockEducation.com, and with me on the line is Mr. David Erfle. He is a self-taught and full-time mining investor. He's also a weekly commentator at Kitco.com. David's website is juniorminerjunkie.com. David, thank you for joining me today.
Thanks for having me, Bill.
David, you have a very interesting story of how you got started in mining stocks, which includes selling your home and investing the proceeds in junior mining companies. Could you begin by sharing with listeners how you discovered and began investing in mining stocks?
Well, I was presently working at a job that basically I call it a velvet coffin job, where I was paid a decent salary, but had a lot of time on my hands, and there was really no room for advancement in the position. I purchased all the phones and phone equipment for the University of California, Los Angeles, and I came in and I streamlined the inventory. What I did was just set up a system where basically it ran itself, so I only had to work a couple hours a day. So I had about 6 hours of time on my hands, and in the early 2000s, I started investing in, maybe 99, 2000, I started investing in tech stocks, because that's what everybody was investing in. I really didn't know what I was doing. And I did the first thing you need to do in order to make a lot of money in the stock market, which was lose a lot of money in the stock market. So while I was licking my wounds after losing about half of my money, I started to look around to see what was going up while the market was going down. And I came upon the gold sector. And I came upon Richard Russell's Dow Theory Letters. And he really taught me a lot. And then I came across the book Creature from Jekyll Island, which took me about a year to read, by the way, which is the history of the Federal Reserve. And that just put a light bulb on in my head, like, wow, about the monetary system and how it works. And like, it makes sense. If you want to be successful making money, then you should learn how money is created or how it works. So that got me into that. And then all of that got me into the mining sector. And I don't know if you remember or know it all, but between 2003 and 2005, the mining sector was correcting a huge move off the 20-year bottom in 2000.
And when did you make your first investment? What year did you first invest in the mining sector?
I think that was probably around maybe 2003, maybe late 2002, something like that. I don't remember.
So then right after you got in, you experienced a brutal correction.
Right, I did, because I didn't go all in, as they say. I just got my feet wet, and I just started to study up on mining stocks, and I just became fascinated, because this is such a tiny sector, and it's so volatile that either you could do really well, or you could pretty much get blown out of the water really quickly. So you just have to do a lot of research. So between 2003 and 2005, the sector corrected that huge gain off the bottom. And then I saw that it was starting to come up around 2005. So I thought, you know what? This consolidation is probably over. The housing market has peaked. So if I'm going to sell my house and do this is the best time to do it. And not only that, but the house that I sold, it was a historic house in Pasadena that I was remodeling, restoring, and doing all the work myself. So made it a tougher decision.
You invested those proceeds, and then didn't you about triple your money in a couple years after?
Yes. And pretty much, I mean, it's the old Rick Ruleism, one of my favorite. He's got so many of them. Was I confused a bull market with brains? I just thought I was a genius. And 2008 came along and taught me a really, really good lesson.
And when did you begin investing full time as a mining stock investor, where this is your business, your profession, what you do to provide for yourself?
That was 2 years after I sold the house, about 2007. My wife at the time and I have a different wife now. My wife at the time and I, we put all our things in storage and moved to Buenos Aires after we sold the house.
Could you describe your general, where you're at now in your mining stock investing business? Could you describe your general approach or philosophy for listeners?
Sure. I don't invest in majors. Um, uh, I don't really like to invest in producers, to tell you the truth. Um, I do own four producers right now, and the only time I'll buy a producer is if it's a growth-oriented producer, and they have their sights setting on being a mid-tier. So if they're growth-oriented and they know how to run a balance sheet and they're in a safe jurisdiction and they have great management, I'll buy them. But I really don't look for those. But they are an anchor of my portfolio right now because I bought those in late 2015, early 2016.
So are you a long-term buy and hold investor or coupled with swing trading? How does that approach work for you?
Well, I pretty much do what the market tells me. I'm not a huge student of technical analysis, but I know basic technical analysis because I feel that if I became too much of a student of technical analysis, it would cloud my judgment because the gold sector is really, really tough if you try to use TA too much. You really have to study what's going on globally. You have to study the fundamentals of the market, and you have to listen to your gut when something happens. If it goes against what's going on technically, then you take your gut over the technicals in gold, I think.
And you attend many mining conferences a year,
Yeah.
probably five or more, correct?
Um, I tried to hold it to four, but sometimes it is five. Yeah.
So you get a good feel for investor sentiment. You're around the CEOs, so your
Yes.
your intuition is more than just watching, videos on YouTube or reading things. You're actually around the movers and shakers in this industry.
Absolutely. It's key. It's essential. You need to go to these things. You need to talk to them. You need to look them in the eye when they're telling you about their company. You even have to look and see the clothes they're wearing. If it's an early stage exploration play and the guy's got a $10,000 suit on, run away. You want that money going in the ground. You don't want these guys getting high salaries and wasting their money on first class airplanes and five-star hotels, and you want it going in the ground. You want blue collar guys that know what they're doing. They've been successful before, and they're straight shooters.
Yeah, you and I spoke the other day about some particular companies we mentioned that seem to be promoted more than they are worth. For the blue collar retail investor, could you give some pointers? You mentioned intuition. What are things you look for, red flags that you see that alert you to the fact that this company may be more promotion than value?
Well, the first thing somebody should do is sign up for all the free email lists that all these newsletter writers and these big promotional type newsletters like KC and Katusa and all these guys. You sign up for all these things. And once you see these things, because once something is pumped, it starts making the rounds to all of them. And if you want to play it, sure, you can get in early, but um, I'd rather invest in something that I do my own due diligence myself. I talk to the guys, I talk to management. I know a lot of geos that I can get information from. I ask them what they think about certain deposits or certain areas, and I would rather do it myself. And then the more something is pumped, the more it's probably a stinker.
You've survived two bear markets, or at least one large bear market from 2011 through 2015. How did you adjust your investing philosophy to survive that, considering this is your full-time income?
Oh, that was pretty bad. I mean, I was shorting the sector there for a while, and I don't short individual companies because I use an all cash account. I don't trade futures or options or anything like that. But I do swing trade 3 times short ETFs. It's not recommended for the faint at heart, but if you know what you're doing, you could protect yourself.
So
So
that was your main means of gain during those years, during the down
yeah,
cycle?
pretty much shorting the sector every once in a while. Keeping a lot of cash. Every once in a while, something would come along. Like I was in Caden. I got lucky with that one. That saved my year. It was 2013. Um, so yeah, I mean, there were things that were going up, but not very many. In the sector.
Uranium. The last 5 months since November, uranium really rose through uranium stocks, that is, rose from November, December,
hmm
January, halfway through February, and now we're experiencing a significant pullback. How have you played the uranium sector the last 5 months, and what do you expect moving forward in the uranium stocks?
Well, I was thinking earlier that the URA would go much higher than it did. I did get out of most of my uranium plays. I took my profit. I do still hold one because I think it's going to be dead money here for a while. The uranium price needs to get above $40-$45 and have a solid floor there before uranium stocks are really going to do something. I think, and you might have some more upside, and you might have some choppiness here, but I just think it's dead money. I'd rather be in gold, silver, zinc, copper. I like zinc. That there's just not a lot of zinc plays out there that are good, and I do like copper for the long haul. So, um, but basically, I like to stick to mostly gold and some silver.
And what's your forecast on the gold market, both in the short term and the long term?
Well, the short term, we're at a huge inflection point right now. We've had a lot of weakness in the shares in the face of a rising gold price recently. So a lot of people think that this basically foretells another sector dump in the shares. But I'm seeing a lot of my juniors and a lot of the juniors that I follow, especially the micro caps. I'm seeing some of them start to break out. I see them. I'm seeing a few 52-week highs. So I just think that if you stick with uh, really good companies with great management in safe jurisdictions with district scale land packages and high grade targets that are cashed up, the short term gold price really doesn't matter that much. But the long term, I see, the medium term, I see the gold price probably staying below $1,300 into Q4, and then maybe Q4, Q1. That's when it's really going to start to take off, I think.
By the end of next year, are you looking at $1,500, $1,600 gold, or do you have any
That's tough.
specific forecast?
That's tough to say. I'm not really a gold forecaster. I just basically listen to what the market tells me, and the market's telling me right now to invest in these small cap and micro cap companies that are cashed up and have major interest, and they have good ownership and really good share structures and district scale land packages. That's if you concentrate on that. Um, I think the smart money feels that the gold price has seen the bottom. So smart money goes, okay, if the gold price has bottomed, I really don't care what it does in the short term. I'm gonna grab some of these little micro cap and small cap companies and invest in them for the long haul. They're cashed up, they're drilling. If they hit something, they're gonna do really well. So I think that's probably the way to play it right now.
Could you please share with investors regarding your website and what you offer?
Sure. My website is juniorminerjunkie.com. That's junkie with a Y, all one word. And my subscription service will be going live on Monday, the first day of Q2. And basically, what it is you pay a quarterly fee to view my portfolio, and I give you at the end of each week, I give you the portfolio update, the market action of the week before. And when you sign up, I give you my portfolio and I give you notes on every single one of my positions and also my private placement account. and it's limited to 200 people, so I can be more accessible to people if they want to get a hold of me.
All right. Thank you very much for joining me today.
Thanks for having me, Bill.
Thank you for watching this MiningStockEducation.com video. Please like and subscribe on YouTube. You can also follow us on Twitter at MiningStockEDU and on the web at MiningStockEducation.com. Learn, invest, profit.